Hello everybody, and welcome to Ancient Architects. Please subscribe now to get the latest ancient history news and independent research from around the world. The origins of bread making had long been thought to be associated with the advent of agriculture and cereal domestication. But when a new study was published back in 2018, it changed the way we viewed our ancient ancestors and also how we define the term hunter-gatherer. A hunter-gatherer was not a simple, unintelligent nomad who hunted whatever animal they could find. They didn't just eat berries from trees and bushes and live some primitive lifestyle. They were not malnourished people living on the edge and struggling to survive. They may not have farmed, but have you considered maybe they didn't have to? Maybe it wasn't necessary for the survival of small populations and families. Maybe their method of hunting and gathering their food was actually perfectly suited to their lifestyle. Hunter-gatherer doesn't mean unintelligent, as we have learned on this channel over the past few months by looking at the Tastapella sites of ancient Anatolia. The hunter-gatherer communities were far from primitive, and in many ways they were quite advanced. The paper that's shown on screen looks at archaeobotanical evidence for the origins of bread, and, incredibly, it shows that bread was being produced at a Natufian hunter-gatherer site in northeastern Jordan. The findings showed that humans were making bread at least 4,000 years before the emergence of agriculture, with the Natufians making flatbread-like products with stone ovens around 2,000 years before the Younger Dryas. The researchers found the charred remains of a flatbread baked by hunter-gatherers, and it dated to 14,400 years ago, and it is the oldest direct evidence of bread found anywhere in the world. In total, there were 24 bread-like discoveries in 2 fireplaces at the Natufian site of Shubaika 1. And although the post-Younger Dryas climate is thought to have been a main driver for the transition to an agricultural lifestyle, maybe bread production also encouraged hunter-gatherer communities to cultivate cereals. It could well be another contributing factor to the agricultural revolution that took place in the Near and Middle East. Microscopic analysis of the finds from the fireplaces also showed that the locals were using at least 95 different plants, mostly bulrush, because these produce edible roots, nutlets and shoots. From the 24 bread-like discoveries, they showed that the wild ancestors of domesticated cereals were used, such as barley, einkorn and oats. These had been ground, sieved and kneaded prior to cooking. There was real sophistication in the method. Interestingly, the remains were very similar to flatbreads found at several Neolithic and even Roman sites in Europe and Turkey. But because the types of grains used were the wild variety, we do know that these charred remains in Jordan were the first direct evidence that bread production preceded agriculture. And, you never know, maybe the smell of freshly baked bread was so good that it triggered the idea to start domesticating crops and grains. The full paper from 2018 can be downloaded for free, and I've left a link in the description below because it is an incredible read for those interested in the finer details. The more you read about pre-pottery Neolithic cultures of the Levants and Anatolia, the more you can see that even before the Younger Dryas, even before work began at Göbekli Tepe, people were already somewhat advanced. The emergence of civilisation isn't as much of a surprise as you may think. As we can see at Kortik Tepe and Gusir Hoyuk, ancient people could already build, quarry and work stone, and, as I showed in a previous video, they already knew how to make terrazzo concrete floors. They could also make lime plaster. They could create amazing jewellery and works of art. They could make clothing, tools and weapons. And yes, 14,400 years ago, the Natufians were also making bread. And all of this before the Younger Dryas. In a coming video, I'll even be discussing evidence that shows how the people of Göbekli Tepe were brewing litres and litres of beer, again long before the advent of agriculture. Thank you very much for watching this episode of Ancient Architects. If you enjoyed the video, please subscribe to the channel, please like the video, and please leave a comment below. Thank you very much.